Alexa, open Amazing Misbah.
Misbah, what is so amazing about you?
Honey, please tell them the good things.
You want me to tell them how horrible a programmer you are? How you copy codes from GitHub and Stack Overflow?
No. So we'll start the project, and there are 3 steps in this. So the first step, the first and foremost, is to set up the system so your system acts like a server which Amazon Alexa can communicate with. So that'll be the first step, where you will set up the system, you'll host a Flask server which Amazon Alexa would be communicating with. The second step is to create the Python project, which will house all the commands or all the conversations which Alexa wants to talk about, or when you're invoking Alexa, it can go to that Python script and read whatever you want Alexa to read at that point. So that will be the second step. And the third, which is the final step, and that is at the Alexa server at the Amazon Web Services. And we'll be going into the developer console of Alexa, and I'll show you step by step of how to set up the system and how to invoke all the intents and how the server can be going on. It'll make more sense when we go in there, but without much ado, let's start into the coding and let's start developing the system for your Flask server. I'm going to create a new project folder here, and we'll simply call it project folder. And the first step here is to set up your virtual environment, and you want to do that by opening the terminal, and you can say virtual env. Now you have to be, so this is something which the story behind this project is I had another project which I created 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm trying to recreate and go back into the system to take out some of the important files from there. So I was using Python 2.7 back then. So it's easy. I know Flask, there's some of the profiles which runs very easily, and this is using Python 2. I'll make another video later on with using Python 3, but Python 2.7 is pretty much easy to get into because the older files are still there and still available. But in order to do that, you need to provide virtual env with the Python 2.7 path folder. So how we do that is by virtual env. Before we go into virtual env, we have to find out where the path folder is. So we do where is Python 2.7. Now the reason we are doing this is we want to find out where Python 2.7 is installed. So here, as you see, in my computer it is installed under user bin Python 2.7. So I'm just going to copy this file, this path, and here I'm going to open virtual env. So for those of you who don't know, virtual env it's basically a virtual environment which you create inside your computer, so that when you're installing any dependencies, you want to be separate, and it has to be, it's not going to be impacting any problems to your main computer. So it's always a good practice to use a virtual environment instead of using your own computers, because over the course of the projects you will be installing and developing different types of other dependencies, and at that point you can cause problems. And if one project dependency doesn't work with the other project, then it can cause problems for your computer. So to avoid all those things, it's better to use virtual env. So we can go into virtual env, and the next is we want to provide the path for the Python. So we do that by -pi, and we can at this point paste the path folder, and we'll give the third argument it takes is the name of the virtual environment. So we'll call Alexa virtual.
A television show is any content produced for broadcast via over-the-air, satellite, cable, or internet, and typically viewed on a television set, excluding breaking news, advertisements.
Alexa, shut up. So here, so this has installed Alexa, and the Alexa virtual env, and if we go into the project folder, you will see Alexa virtual already activated here. So we go under this, we go under library, you can see Python 2.7. So this virtual environment was created using Python 2.7. And if you go under bin, so in order to activate a virtual environment, you need to activate this particular file, which is called activate. And for that, we'll go into the main folder, and we're in our project folder still. And we come here, we say source Alexa virtual, and we say,
I didn't catch that.
I had to mute Alexa because it was disturbing. So source Alexa virtual bin activate, and the moment we press that, it created your virtual environment here. So Alexa virtual, we'll clear everything. So here, from here on, we are going to be starting to install all the dependencies. So at this stage, we will be installing and creating all the dependencies which are needed for this project. So the first thing we need here is Flask, and Flask is a microservices web framework which basically helps in hosting a web server on it. So in this particular project, we're using Flask so that it can help us create a small server on your computer which Alexa can communicate with. So how we're going to be doing that is by just using pip install Flask, and you'll see it's using Python 2.7 in order to install this. So after this, we want to do pip install Flask ask. Flask ask is another dependency. It's something which is built upon Flask, but it was designed, I believe the name of the gentleman was John Wheeler, and he designed this so that he could create some direct framework or intents between Alexa and the Flask server. So Alexa could communicate with Flask, and Flask could provide Alexa with those communication modules or those intents which Alexa needs in order to pull up all the statements that you wanted to communicate with. So he created a very nice library, a plugin on top of Flask, which could communicate with Alexa easily. And that is what we are using. But John Wheeler, he developed this Flask ask back in 2015 or 2017, and the last update he did was in 2018, and after that there's no updates, which I noticed that it's causing problems with one or two files, and we're going to be replacing them with the older versions of those the ones which he used back in 2018. So the way we do that is first we'll go into pip freeze, and by typing pip freeze, it will give you all the dependencies or all the the programs which are installed. And the two files which we need to change is Werkzeug, and the other one is called cryptography. I don't know what these two do internally, but I've noticed that the newer versions, like this one is 1.000, and this is not working, and even the cryptography with 2.8 is not working. So for Werkzeug, you need 0.8.3, and the way we can do that is pip install Werkzeug double equal to 0.8.3. So we are basically downgrading this version, and you'll notice it's installing 0.8.3. So if we go back and do pip freeze again, you will see Werkzeug is now downgraded to 0.8.3. Same thing we want to do for cryptography. And cryptography, if it's anything less than 2.2.1, that should be fine. But here in this case, we will be doing it to pip install 2.1.4. I've seen that this particular version works, but I think I'm mistaking it with something. Oh, did I not? I missed the word cryptography. That's what happened. So pip install cryptography double equal to 2.1.4. So it looks like it has installed, and we'll see. We'll go back and we'll do pip freeze. So you see cryptography is down to 2.1.4 and work is down to 0.8.3. So we're good on this. Now we'll start creating the project. Here we'll create a Python file and we'll say hello.py, and we'll open. Oh, I have another hello.py. Let's not get confused. I think let's rename this file and we'll say what do you want to say here? Alexa.py. Okay, so let's open alexa.py, and here I'm going to be copying or using some of my the code which I used to test this one from here. So the first two imports we want to do is this. From Flask, import Flask, and this is the main guy. This is the main server which is hosting everything, and Flask is just sitting on top of Flask, and it helps in using the invocations like ask and statement. So ask is something which helps the Alexa know which one is, so Alexa can look into ask, and this particular command, the ask file, it provides Alexa with those intents or with that information which the user is invoking. For example, if I say, Alexa, tell me what's going on the radio, so that question which you have, what's going on the radio, is what Alexa is reading and interpreting, and it's going to look into this ask intent and see what is the answer that it should be giving out. So what's going on the radio? So there is a radio app, and there will be an ask intent which will help Alexa answer the question for what radio or what's going on the radio. So that's where we use ask. And statement, it's just it's more like a string which provides the information for Alexa. So Alexa knows that it's a statement. You can have a question, you can have statement, you can have question. So Flask provides a certain set of variables which people can use to give out the information to Alexa. So if it's just a statement, so Alexa would simply blurt out whatever it's programmed to do. But if it's a question, then it'll answer in a different way. It'll have a different style of answering because which more like resembles a question. So we'll go into that, and for this one we're not going to be using question. We'll just use ask and statement, and at this point we need these two functions. So I'll go into that and tell you what that is. So app is equal to Flask name is basically we are creating a Flask app and we're giving it the name app. And ask is the Flask ask intent, and we're giving it we're saying that ask is running using app and it's running on the home folder. So this slash means it's basically Flask is nothing but a website which is being hosted on your server, and the website is the home page of the website is this slash here. So if I were to say slash Alexa, so this means if you say, for example, you have a website which says www.amazon.com. So Alexa is, if it were like this, so it means that it's www.com/ and that's just a slash. But if I were to put Alexa here, it means that the home folder or the ask app is running on the other directory. It's not running on the home page or the index version, but it is here, Alexa. So basically, Amazon Alexa will be looking into your website's Alexa domain, and that's where it's going to be. The second set of set will be copying this. So it's basically telling you here we are saying that the project is running name, and this is a standard way of defining a Python project. It's main, and we're saying that app.run should be running at port number 8021, and this is called under debug true. So the reason we are writing debug true is so it says that it's still under development stage, and if I make any changes in the program while runtime, so while alexa.py is running, and during that version if I make any difference or if I make any change, then it will automatically update the live version of the server. So you say, for example, your website is running, and during the development stage, if you make any changes in your website, it should automatically update rather than stopping the project, the Python file, and then installing it, changing it, and then re-uploading it. So it saves us from all those trouble. But if we use debug is equal to true, so always when we are still in the development stage, it helps if we put down debug is equal to true, and port 8021 is just defining where your Python project is hosted on your computer, on what port it's being run under. So we are, in this case, we are going to be putting it under 8021, or you can choose any number. It doesn't matter if it's 8021. I believe you should be away from certain ports, which are the default ports for other projects, for other services in your computer. But in this case, 8021 doesn't matter. You can put 8021, 8023, 8024. It doesn't matter. You can put down. You can get creative on that. So with this, we will come in and we'll run app route.homepage, and I'm putting this just to show you how the Flask server is interpreting it. So if by putting this slash here, I'm just saying that this is the home page, and your app is, and if the app is on the home page, it should return hi there. So we'll go ahead and run this. So we'll create save. We'll go under our command project, and if we say Python Alexa.py, and if we run this, it shows that it is running at 127, and that's my local host, and 8021 is the port number it's running in there. So if we just copy this, or if we say copy URL, and if we go under this local host, and if we create here, it's going to open the home page, and it'll say hi there. So which means that this Python script is running. Here you will see a description of that at this particular time at 4:30. This is 4:30 a.m. and it's ran and it gave a full 200 OK signal. And the favicon is basically, the website doesn't have a favicon. That's the reason it's giving a 401 error. But that's nothing for us to worry about. And we'll close this project. Go back here, and the next step would be to open this welcome message. This is what Alexa would be using. So we'll open this, and we will go under, we'll paste it here. So we are saying ask.launch and def start skill. So what this is doing is ask.launch tells Alexa that when the skill or the Alexa skill is opened up, or it's launched, this is the function which it should generate, or which it should run. So when it says ask.launch, it goes under start skill, and there's a welcome message. It says hello there, and this statement is returned. So Alexa reads this. So we'll make this a little unique. We can say, hello buddy, how's your day going? how is your day going? We come here and we'll say, okay, so I think this is fine at this point. We will do this here and we will save this code. So it looks like if we go back here and if we try to run this Python alexa.py, it will run. It's saying that the address is already in use. I've noticed this is an issue with the port number, and every time I use it I have to change the existing code. The port number is 8021. Previously I'm going to be using 8023 for now, and hopefully that issue goes away. If anyone of you knows a better solution out of it, please let me know. And 127 and the port is 8023, so the file is running on this one. Now notice that it is running on your local host 127.0.0.1. that's your local IP address, and anyone on your home network can access this. But if Alexa, which is hosted on the Amazon Web Services, that's a globe. I mean, it's out of your home network. How would Alexa know where your project is running? What's your IP address? So it doesn't know your home IP address, and your home IP address, like mine, is dynamic. It changes. So there's no way for Alexa or Amazon to track your IP address. So in order to do that, unless you're using a static IP, there's no way for Alexa or Amazon to know where your server is being hosted. So for that reason, we'll be using a service called ngrok, NGROK. We'll go into that in a minute. But that ngrok service, it creates a small tunnel, a secure tunnel between your computer and Alexa. So your computer is here and Alexa is here. So it creates a small tunnel between both of them. And you can create an IP address for your computer which Alexa can access. So we'll go into that now. And the step to do that is you have to download ngrok. We'll go here and we'll try to search for ngrok on Google. If you go and say ngrok, and it's a free service, and the way you need to do that is we just need to download ngrok. Here I'm using a Linux laptop, so you can use download Linux, and it will create a zip file. It will download a zip file on your computer, and you have to unzip it using this code, and then you run this. In my computer I've already downloaded it, and I've downloaded it under downloads, software, ngrok. So when you download it, it'll download it as a zip file, and in order to unzip it is if you just write unzip and the file name, it'll unzip and it'll create this executable file called ngrok. So in order to execute this, you need to run terminal here and this particular folder, and just say ngrok http, and you want to give the same code, same port number, which is here. Now here it's 8023, but let's change it to we'll close this program. Make sure. Now this is something which I need to explain. You need to create first ngrok port should be activated, and then your Python script should start. So ngrok will create the tunnel, and then you can place your Python script in that tunnel, but not the other way around. Unless I'm mistaken, let me know. But if you put down ngrok http 8025, or let's not confuse, let's stay away from the 80s, let's put down 7025, and the moment we do that, it creates a tunnel, and it's given us a global web address, and that's your computer's web address, and it's being hosted at your local host 7025. So we will copy this, or we will come back to this later. For now I'm going to minimize this, and I'll go back to our project here, and we will let's change this to 70. What did we put here? Did we put 7025? So we want to come here, we want to put 7025. We save this project and we open this guy and we run Python alexa.py. So now it's running on the 7025. We'll go back and test run this. So if we go here and instead of 8021, if we put down 7025, it's supposed to be giving us the same web folder. So it's loaded now and it's giving us the web page which says hi there. And instead of this, if we use our ngrok global web address, if we copy URL, and if instead of this, if we put down, or let's put in a new tab just to avoid any confusion, and if we press enter, it's going to open the same web page. So now it's being run on a global web address, and if we run this, it's going to open the web page which was hosted in your Python script, this one, which is this one here. So at this point, our job here, which is creating that Flask web server, is done, and we're going to the web server, and also the second step where we wanted to run that Python project is also ready. So now we will go into the Amazon Alexa Web Services and create our skill so Alexa can interact with us. We go here and we want to go under developer.amazon.com. Now make sure you're using the same the same email address or the same Amazon account at which your Echo Dot or your Alexa is programmed or signed up for. So you should be using the same email address which you used to set up your Amazon Alexa device, and this developer account should be running on that same email address. We go under here and we want to go under Alexa, Amazon Developer Services and Technologies, and at this stage we want to press Alexa, and under Skill Builders go under Developer Console, and we want to create a skill, create skill, and we'll give a simple skill name. Let's say morning yellow, just a random name, and it's a two-word skill. So you say morning yellow, and here we go under choose a model. We're going to be using custom. They have certain other models which are also good for some more complicated skills, but here it's a simple skill which we're trying to make. So custom, and it's asking where are we hosting. Since we're using ngrok and we're hosting it on our own computer, on our own server, home server, so we are going to be using provision your own. Alexa also provides the hosted web services which is run on AWS. They have certain free tiers. It doesn't give a lot of flexibility, but it is still hosted on the Amazon Web Services, and it provides a developer console which you can go and program over there. If you're interested, leave a comment and I'll show you how to do that also, if you're interested or if you need to do that. But in this case, we're going to be using provision your own because we're providing our Flask and ngrok server, so we can stick with provision your own and go back and create skill. Start from scratch, yes. Go ahead and choose. So we'll go here, invocation name, morning yellow is ready, and we want to see there are 5 intents. These are the ones which are already by default. What happens when it's to the home, stop, help. These are the basic intents which Alexa provides already, but we want to add our own intent. And it should be, at this point I think we don't need our own intent. We can, since we are just testing the launch skill, what happens when Alexa starts. So intents are used when you want to define what Alexa should be doing when it comes to that stage. Say for example, someone wanted to stop your application or skill. It will come here, and whatever Amazon stop intent had programmed Alexa to say, it will say. But in our case, we're just testing the launch skill, and launch skill is basically when, as soon as you call the skill or the Alexa skill, it will open and say this statement and just then shut down. It's not going to do anything. So for that, we don't need any intents. We'll keep it simple, and we'll come back here. We can just to see how the JSON editor looks like. So these are all the intents names: fallback, cancel, help, stop, navigation, home. We don't need all that at the moment. We come here, we go under endpoint, and we go under HTTPS, and Amazon wants HTTPS, a more secure version. So Amazon wants a more secured version, HTTPS, and we want to provide the ngrok version. So ngrok has both HTTP and HTTPS, but make sure you're using HTTPS. Copy URL, come here. Previously they didn't have access in the Europe and Far East, and it was only North America and Europe, if I remember, but now they have opened up to India, Far East, and other places. So the default region is, yes, this guy, and I can put down North America here also. And this is the certification level, and we're going to provide that my development, since we're using ngrok, and ngrok can have multiple subdomains, this is what we're going to be using. My development endpoint is a subdomain of a domain, and that's the certification we want to use. We create here, we come here, we save the endpoints, go back into the invocation tab, and here it will show you build model. So let's build model. It's saying that it's missing some utterances, at least one sample utterance is required. Let's go under intent, and we'll create an intent. It's stating it's not letting us go without creating a hello, or without creating an intent. We'll create sample intent, and we'll create custom intent, and we'll give out some utterances. So this is basically telling, Alexa is telling us to describe a few intents. So if we were to tell that Alexa do this or do this particular command, these are the utterances, or these are the what your user is going to say, Alexa, and here the utterances is what it's going to look into. And go back to your Python program and see what your Python program had defined to do when that particular instant is called. So say for example, you said, Alexa, go and bring or switch on the lights, switch on the lights in the bedroom. So the moment a user calls that command, Alexa, turn on the lights in the bedroom, the moment that instant it will read and understand, oh, the person said open the lights in the bedroom. So it will search into those intents and see what it matches to, and the moment it realizes that it's intent which is supposed to open lights, it will go back to your Python program and look into all your programs and see where you had defined the switching on lights aspect, and there you can put down your Python code which is supposed to run if you're running some Arduinos or Raspberry Pis or running or switching on lights. So you can give that command to your Raspberry Pi from that Python code to say switch on the lights in the bedroom. That's where these intents come into place. Since we did not define all that here, it's not we don't need them, but Alexa is not letting us do it without creating a simple intent. So just for the sake of it, I'm creating an intent, but we're not going to be using it. So sample intent, we say hello intent, or it's a sample intent, so we say hello, how are you? or hi, how is it going? This much is enough, and we go back and build model. So it looks like now it's letting us go ahead. We'll give it a few seconds and it should be ready now. So it looks like quick build successful, things are running, so that's good. And I should be basically able to run. So I have my Alexa device connected here. I don't know if you can see it from there. So I'll increase the volume a little bit and we'll test it right now. We have put down our invocation name as morning yellow. I don't know why I put that, but let's test it out. We'll say, Alexa, open morning yellow. It doesn't seem to be recognizing us. So if we say, Alexa, open morning yellow. It doesn't like me. Let's see what's going on. We can go into the test model. Test is disabled for this skill. We want to go ahead and open the development stage, and we say open morning yellow.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
So there was a problem. What could that problem be? It's not reading. It seems to be reading. Did we provide the right nrock version? Whenever it says there was a problem with the requested skill response, it means that Alexa was not able to go through your Python project. So it wasn't able to find your server. We go under endpoint and see if it's the right one. It looks like it's right. It doesn't look different. We provided the right we provided the right certifications, so that's good. We'll save models, morning yellow. Instead of running on Alexa, I'm gonna have it under the home page, home folder.
I'm not sure.
And let's see if this works. Alexa, open morning yellow.
Hello, buddy. How is your day going?
So now it's working. So if we say, Alexa, open morning yellow.
Hello, buddy. How is your day going?
So that concludes the video. And we missed the Alexa here, so that's the reason it was not working. So because I had it
You are
changed.
0.61 miles, 0.99 kilometers.